All right, welcome back to another episode of the Men That Can Project podcast. I'm your host, Lockie Stewart. I'm a men's performance coach, really focused on empowering men to step into their authentic self, focusing a lot around awareness, communication, and setting up the environment to support who you are and who you want to be as a man. So today's episode, have an unreal chat with a good mate of mine, Ryan Barford is from Melbourne. He actually, it's a funny story how we met and we dive into that. But this was one of the greatest chats. And, I jumped off this podcast really empowered and inspired and excited about not only from the stuff that we spoke about, but also for the journey that Ryan's on, right? And I just want to, before it dives in as well, just be mindful there is a chat around suicide in here, so if you don't sort of want to listen to that, it comes toward the end of the podcast. But as always, once again, I'm not a qualified psychiatrist or psychologist or anything like that. So please reach out to any of the amazing helplines out there, or see a professional psychiatrist or psychologist to help get you the support that you need. And moving on, this episode, we chat things around the power of gratitude, empathy, vulnerability in men, drugs and alcohol, which is something that I always seem to touch on, meditation even, and asking Ryan what is one question he was asked more often. It's actually a really interesting question and a cool response on that one. So enjoy the episode, and please remember, if you are getting value from these, please share with someone who you believe will get value. Share it on your socials. Don't forget to tag me. And leave a review for those who are actually taking the time and actually 90 seconds to write a review and leave a 5-star there. It means the world to me, because it's helping the podcast jump up the charts and more people are getting to hear it. So thank you for taking the time and enjoy the episode. I know you're going to get a heap of value, so enjoy. All right, Jen. So welcome back. I'm sitting here, or digitally sitting here with Ryan Barford, absolute champion. So we connected over Instagram. The story is actually really cool. And after a little bit of back and forth on Instagram, we jumped on a phone call, which was amazing. It went for like 30, 40 minutes, I reckon. It would have actually easily. And throughout that, we connected, and you were a fucking absolute belter of a bloke. Like, I just knew straight away we're going to be mates regardless of. And the phone call was about the Foundations Workshop. And regardless, I knew we were going to be mates because we had a lot of stuff in common, and understand throughout this episode just how much of a good, genuine human being he is. And
thanks, mate.
Throughout that phone call, he's like, we got off the phone, he's like, nah, I can't make it. And I was like, all right, but I just knew from what we'd spoken about, this would have been the best thing ever for you. Plus, I just wanted to hang out as well. So I sent you a text saying, bro, I think you'd really benefit from it. And within like 10 minutes after that, you booked flights because you were flying up from Melbourne. You'd had your Airbnb done, and literally it was just that thing. And then I was like, man, this guy's an absolute go-getter. And you rocked up. I can't even remember what date the workshop was now, but you rocked up with the workshop. You found the planes, you got there, and straight away you were invested. Like the cool thing for me was how you showed up. You were engaged, you were asking questions, and you were extremely curious, and you also were vulnerable, right? And for me, especially because we just met, the fact that you were already being that open and honest and vulnerable was hugely powerful. And that's why I think we connected so well, because I love hanging out with people who are like that. So rather than me, that's going to share how we met. But Ryan, I'll pass it over to you if you want to sort of introduce yourself. Let the men understand who you are, man.
Yeah, sure. Well, as you said, we connected via Instagram, and for me, it was just basically I just like to follow people such as yourself on social media, just so I only ever got positive content coming in through my feed, because algorithms control that shit. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Long story short, I'd been through a breakup and just having a rough time, and you just put something up there and it just landed with me, so I commented, and then it was just sort of planted a seed from there, and that grew into sitting here right now. So what am I? I'm 36, 37 this year. I'm from Melbourne. Originally grew up in a little surfy town called Phillip Island. I'm an identical twin. Yeah, what else? I mean, look, for me, I resonate heavily with the whole men's mental health sector and the movement because it's been a huge part of my life. I've battled with depression, anxiety, um, and the whole being bullied at school thing, picked on, all that sort of shit growing up, and being an identical twin. So there's always a huge identity crisis that followed with everything else. And so I think through everything I've been through, I've just developed a lot of deep empathy for other guys, because I can be a very blokey bloke. But on the same token, I'm still very sensitive, and I have a strong feminine side, and I've acknowledged that, and that's just who I am, and I just go with it. If people don't like it, then fuck them.
Spot on.
That's it. But yeah, so basically my deep interest in men's mental health is really how you and our paths crossed. So I'm a huge advocate for it. I've lost friends. Yeah, so that sucks. Like we're just, we're our own worst enemy, us guys. From 14 to 45, the biggest killer is ourselves. You know, numbers are creeping up. We're getting up over 3,000 suicides per year in Australia. And for me, I just want to make an impact on that just as much as I know you do too. So this is where we really stand together and connect. So
I think, man, like it's so powerful, and I think I've lost mates through suicide, as have you, and there's probably a lot of men listening to this who've been affected by mental health or mental illness in some way, shape, or form, whether it's personally or someone they know. And you're right, it's increasing at such an alarming rate, and it's heartbreaking, man, because every time we connect with people, like truly connect, like even connecting with you or any of the blokes at the workshop or just men in your daily life, and you can, when you've got empathy and you can connect with them and you just know that a bloke's in pain, even though he's showing up in this confident way, but you look into their eyes and you know deep down something's not going well, but they don't feel comfortable sharing what that is. That breaks my fucking heart, man, because I don't believe any men are bad. I don't believe any people are bad. It's just like the environment that we're in and how we learn to cope and deal with things that can push us in one or two ways, right? And
100%, mate.
We even saw it like when we're in that environment where men were there with the intention to want to step into their authentic self and have that place where, even for you, you were there from day dot. From the moment you walked in the room, you were hand up sharing vulnerable stuff, which then created that energy in the room for everyone else to go, fuck, well, if he's sharing that, I can share it too. You know what I mean? And it's such a powerful thing. And you talk about, wanting to doing work in that space, and it's incredible just how much our own vulnerability can create that platform or that space for other men to maybe offload a little bit of their,
Well, that's it. And it's for men, it's just like we don't feel like have that environment isn't everywhere where we can just open up and be vulnerable and just share these things. So it's usually, unfortunately, at this time and place in our society, is we can only rely on workshops, men's groups and stuff like that, and close-knit circles of friends to really shed our skin and just open up and be ourselves and, and talk about deep things. Because unfortunately, talking about our mental health in society is not like talking about the common cold or a fucking torn muscle or a backache. Yeah, or coronavirus. It's still extremely taboo because people don't know what to do, because people freak out when you start talking about your feelings. It's like, oh, fuck, fuck, what do I do? What do I do? What do I say? What do I say? Fucking don't say anything, mate. Just sit there, listen, and just give people the space and the time to just express themselves.
Yeah.
And that's one message that I like to get across to any other guys out there. If you feel uncomfortable when someone else is expressing stuff, you don't have to say anything, man. Just acknowledge that you know, if something happens, just go, I'm really sorry that happened to you. Don't try and fix them. Just sit and listen. That's
Yeah,
all people want. We just want to be heard.
it's
Men and women. People just want to be heard.
it's exactly that. I've had experiences in the past, and once again, before I say this, like I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything like
Yeah.
that. This is just from experience. Like I've had people go, "No, I'm not qualified to listen to this," and I'm like,
Yeah, you are. You're a human.
my mind goes, "Are you a fucking human? Do you have a heartbeat?" Like we're all before professions were a profession. Like people could listen. Like if you don't feel comfortable giving advice, and if you're not qualified to do so, don't. But it's possible for you to listen, right? Like that, like you said, that's all a lot of people want at the end of the day is just to feel heard
and connected.
often when you get it out of your mouth, because in our mind, right, it's like a game of fucking Twister. It's we have the thought, and then it goes left hand green, and you just what? But the moment that you start thinking it out, you start making logical sense of it, and you go, oh, maybe that thought isn't as bad as I'm thinking, or maybe I can look at doing this to overcome that thought, or
100%.
It just takes that weight off your back.
Yeah, and that's literally the thing is too, is like sounding things out, like and getting out of your head is it's really it's a safe thing for you to be doing, because it's just even though if you're just word vomiting at someone, it's just literally just about getting it out of your head, even if it makes fucking no sense.
Yep.
And I know journaling is quite difficult for a lot of people, because especially when you've got a lot of internal noise going on, and this is only from my experience, it's actually quite difficult to physically write things, because there becomes a physical disconnect between your hand and your brain, and you actually miss words. Yep. And you go back and read it and you go, that doesn't make any sense. I've missed like 3 words here and there, and like you've written a whole paragraph, you're like, fuck, it makes no sense. So if you could at least have a conversation with someone, or go on someone's podcast.
Yeah. Way to do it, man.
But just simply getting out of your head it's super good for men, because it's a really safe thing for us, because the most dangerous thing is, and you'll know that, and you'll agree with this one as well, it's like what Tony Robbins says, if you're in your head, you're dead. You know, you just got to get out of that fucking swirling pool of fucking self-talk and internal voices, and that goes for all human beings. Once you get out of there, you're in such a safer place, and once you eject all that shit out of there, it just makes space for fucking serenity and peace, and potentially if there's negative shit floating around in there, make space for positive things to fall back in.
100%. That's what I always see at the men's circles, is that you know, because the ground rules, the intention is like, if you don't feel comfortable speaking, just at least introduce yourself, right? And just say, I'm just here to listen tonight. And what generally happens when a bloke just starts talking, they go, hey, my name's Lockie, I'm just here to listen tonight. And then they'll go, but blah, 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 and then they'll start talking.
Yep.
It's a moment
just
that
words fall out.
Yeah, it just starts happening. And then they go, fuck, I didn't come here with the intention to say anything. I don't know where that came from. I'm like, doesn't matter, man. Like, you feel good now. You got that off your chest, and you got a bit of shit from other men.
That's it.
Yeah. Like it's
just like, just unloading all this shit off my shoulders. Oh, fuck. And then they're just like, and you see people like that too after it. They're just like, oh, I feel so light. It's like, exactly right.
Feel energized.
Do it more.
And that's probably leads me on to sort of one of the other things, like going into, obviously we've been chatting about vulnerability in men, but then like drugs and alcohol. And for me, like in my past, like the only times I really connected like on that vulnerable point was when I was drunk or high. And it's just because that's like in the morning I could take that back, and if someone would go blah blah blah, I was like, nah bro, I was just fucking cooked. Like didn't mean any of that. That was just the drugs talking, or too many beers. And I'd never get that level of conversation that I was craving, because for whatever reason, for whatever walls I built up, I didn't feel fear of judgment, whatever it was. So then I became addicted to using those substances to give me that sort of fulfillment, not fulfillment, that level of connection.
That sense of Yeah. And look, I resonate with that heavily, man. Like, as you know from the conversations we've had, I've struggled for years with fucking drugs. And alcohol played its part as well because it was just a lubricator and an initiator to the drug taking, because it was always the precursor. And it's like, and this is one thing I like to say is, people think that weed is a gateway drug. Fuck no. Mental health issues and lack of connection is the gateway to all fucking forms of addiction and substance abuse. And alcohol is always a precursor because it's readily available and it is socially acceptable, and it's exactly it. You can buy it off a shelf, and it kills more people than any other substance in the world.
Yeah,
I think, or cigarettes. Sorry, next to cigarettes anyway.
Yeah, both fucking.
Don't quote me on that fact. But yeah. So, and I still, I've told you this, and you've said the exact same thing. Like, you talk about cocaine for me. Like, I gave up MDMA and all that stuff just because the come down was always fucked me for like a week.
Yeah,
I was always just brain dead, and I could never do my job. But my current issue, and I'm really working on it quite heavily at the moment, is like, I find cocaine use is quite prevalent now in society, and it's quite the norm. And it has just it's really crept its way into this age and this current time of day. Is it's just so normal. Like, you go out and everyone's just on the bags, and it's the thing. Everyone does it because there's no massive come down. Generally, it's just you've got a worse hangover because you're able to drink a lot more. Yeah. And like you said, you have those big deep D&Ms and shit like that. And it's just like, well, fuck, why can't we just talk like that without these social lubricants? Like, why is it?
That in itself is a great question, right? Like, it wasn't until I started questioning, and it wasn't just drugs, like it was the violence, the cheating, all the things that I believe I did wrong or weren't the best for me. I started questioning, well, why do I feel I need to do that? What's that giving? And a lot of us don't ask ourselves enough questions. We just go, I don't know, move on to the next thing. I don't want to deal with that. So we don't get answers on the questions to understand why we may be doing things or what we're actually trying to get. And like,
because we don't want to. I was just gonna say, we don't want to sit in negativity or dark emotions. We're always, like you said, we're always constantly trying to get back to happiness.
Yeah, and it's not even real happiness. It's this false sense of like, it's norm. It's the status quo of like mediocrity where everyone's at that same level, but with mental health rising and all the other challenges that we face as a society and as men, it's like, do we want to really be the norm? Do we really want to be where everyone else is at? I don't think so. Fuck no. Like, I was using those things to try and give myself a buzz.
Yeah. Well, have you ever heard of Johann Hari?
Yeah, bro. His book is always got the
even if, like, so all the other fellas out there, if you've never read any of his books, just go watch his TED Talk about addiction on YouTube. And he talks about how addiction really isn't what we think it is, and how the war on drugs will never be won. So it's literally his concept is, and I agree with it, is just drugs and alcohol, we use them because we lack connection. And that connection can simply be, just because you got a good family, friends, all that shit, doesn't mean you lack connection. Because that connection that you're lacking, it may just be with yourself.
Yeah.
But we numb that and take that pain away, and it could be, you may not even realize it's there. It could be in the back of your mind, but it's there. So if you're using stuff, and this is something that in my experience, is you got to start asking questions. Why? Just why? As long as you can ask the questions why, eventually you'll come to some conclusion, and answers will just fall out of your head, and they'll get there.
Yeah.
But it's that lack of connection.
I truly believe that. And it's even like, I was never a loner at school. Like, I felt like I was, but I had, good support networks around me. I had a heap of mates, playing footy, but I still felt like I couldn't be myself. I still felt like I wasn't valued as who I was, because I was a skater boy growing up, right? Like, I got bullied for skateboarding. So I built myself up to be this tough footy player. I fucking didn't really. I enjoyed the competitive part of footy, but I didn't really enjoy footy. Right? But had it gone back to connecting with myself and understanding who I was, how I wanted to show up, what made me happy, what I enjoyed doing, what kind of people I wanted in my life, I wouldn't have felt the need to turn to drugs because I was a miserable prick. Like I would have been like, because the position I'm in right now, I haven't touched a drug for years. Once again, I'm not going to say here that I'm never going to touch them again. I'll like life, right?
Me either.
But I'm at a point in a position where I'm so fucking happy with my life and who I am. And I can hang around people who are doing drugs and I don't feel like, don't get me wrong, I still think about doing cocaine all the time and I'm like, nice.
Same.
And if I think about the other stuff, I get like that metallic-y taste in my mouth still. But I know full well that I'm so fucking happy with where I'm at that I would much rather get up tomorrow, go for a hike, go for a surf, read, do all these other things that I really enjoy as well than like you can ask my missus and all that, they're probably like, you're too much that way where you don't even enjoy a beer anymore or a beverage, where I'm just like,
their own.
But that's where I'm at this point, because I'm so excited by the other things that I've got going on for me in a selfish way that, that's where I'm sort of at. And that's questioning.
But people can throw shade in your direction because you're being different. Because the only issue is that, right, is when people throw shade in your direction for making your personal choices and you're just marching to the beat of your own drum because you know what's good for you. Only you know what's good for you.
100%.
And don't fall into that trap thinking that everyone else does. Everyone's got a piece of advice, doesn't mean you should take it. They're like arseholes, mate. Everyone's got an opinion. But sorry, I got a little lost there. But so people, sorry, coming back. So talking about people throwing shade in your direction, and it might not be just a slight, people taking the piss out of you or whatever. If you don't want to drink and do drugs, that's you, man. You do you. But all it is just a reflection on them. Yeah. And they don't like that because it makes them feel like they're doing something wrong. And everyone's entitled to live their own life and put whatever substance they want into their own body. And if they want to have a casual beer, kudos to you, mate. You do you. But I don't agree with people throwing shade in your direction, even if it is in a jokingly way, because at the end of the day, it's still a negative comment.
100%.
But, be fully prepared to cop that kind of shit if you do want to walk that walk. I've had to put up with it. My housemate, when we first moved in together, and we've only been living together for 3 months, I was still using drugs and partying with him when we first moved in because I was just freshly out of a breakup and I just wanted to run amok and do everything.
Yeah.
But now, in that short period of time, I've just totally flipped it on its head and I find more enjoyment about waking up the next day and feeling good and fresh. And he doesn't quite get it. He's like, oh, where's the old Ryan? The one who liked to party and go out and do all this. I'm like, mate, this is the real me. You just met the damaged version of me that was just didn't know what was going on. So
it's funny how
this is the real me. Get used to it.
People go, where's the old? That used to happen for me as well. But what happens, in my opinion, is like when we change, and whether it is going back to the old you or you're just wanting to grow and do different things, it's like we fuck up their model of the world, which we fit into, right? Like, based on how
exactly right.
Ryan fits into this category, and this is how
chessboard.
Yeah, and at the moment that you do that, it's like I've lost control of my concept of reality. I don't know what's actually happening anymore. What if something else changes? Yeah. I'm freaking out here.
Because they become reliant on you playing that role in what you call this the tribal cycle.
Yep.
So you're the fucking chief of destruction and fucking sex and drugs and rock and roll, and you've removed yourself from that fucking role, and they're like, fuck, hang on, you fucking things up here, man. Like, don't do that. You're rocking the boat.
Where you came from.
Shit, you're making me fucking reflect on myself now. Don't do that.
Yeah, 100%. I want to quickly touch on meditation.
Go for it.
because I always get really, I'm really intrigued, because when I first heard of meditation, I just thought it was like you had to live in Byron Bay and do that sort of stuff. Do you meditate, and like how do you sort of, or why and how did it come about in your life?
So I think for me, previously I'd done like a really, really deep guided meditation with one of my friends. She's very, very spiritual, like into all the crystal healing and all that spiritual woo-woo stuff. And look, granted, it's not for everyone. I don't fully buy into it, but I will say one thing. I do believe there is a higher power than just our physical bodies. There is more than just us. I mean, fuck's sake, mate. We're just one dot in the fucking solar system. There's got to be something bigger and greater than us out there. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure you might agree with that one. Tinfoil hat on. So meditation. The human brain is fucking powerful, correct? Like, it's amazing what you can do just by manifesting things and fully focusing your mind on stuff. So who's to say that, like, you can't, do other things? So for me, meditation was, I just needed another source, another way to tap into me and my own thoughts, because my mind was just, I couldn't control anything, and it was just such a fucking scrambled mess for so many years. I didn't know how to just be.
Yeah.
So I went through a gnarly breakup. My friend V, she put me through a guided meditation, and it was quite powerful, and it really just helped me let go. And then I just, I just went back to being me and thinking I was perfectly fine. And then it wasn't until, like, shameless plug here, I went and saw the Resilience Project, and I saw Hugh do a big talk and that just really confirmed things with me. So where it really began was through gratitude and empathy, and then through that I discovered meditation, and I discovered it was quite easy to do, and it doesn't have to be so crazy in depth as crystals and chanting and all this kind of stuff. It really is just about going within and just reflecting on you, just some deep breathing and stuff like that. And it can be quite short. It can be 10 minutes. Yeah. So for me, it started with the Resilience Project app. So anyone out there that has never done anything, try that app out. That's just my personal experience. I found it quite useful. So that touches on everything. So projection of empathy, gratitude, all that stuff. But it has a 10-minute meditation video at the end. So I was using that because I have a lot of trouble sleeping. I still don't sleep amazingly, but it was just something that just helped. It wasn't the silver bullet. It's not the fucking be all to end all, but it just fucking helps just get you out of your head of like future projection and living in the past. It just brings you to that present moment.
Yep.
And it's just great, man. It just calms your mind. And if you can do it for like, day after day after day, or at least a few times a week, it just, I don't know, man. I can't quite put it into words, but I feel like it just brings this calmness, steadies the waters.
Yeah.
It's not that internal storm.
Fuck yeah.
It's not, you're not like constantly battling thunderstorms in your brain. It just calms that sea, and the waves aren't crashing and everything, the boat's not rocking. It's just a bit more gentle. It's not flat seas, it's just that little bit more gentle, and everything's just a little bit better. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
That was soothing, even just learning, like listening to you talk about it. That I was like on a trance. The way you were speaking it, your voice tonality was dropping. I was just like, yeah. Love it. What I love this question, but what's a question you wished you got asked more?
Yeah, am I happy?
Why? Well, first and foremost, are you happy?
Do you know what, dude? I fucking am. And if I could jump through the screen and give you a big fucking bro hug, I would. Because I fucking love you, dude. You're such a good person, and I just resonate with you so heavily. Like, and I'm just getting all misty-eyed talking.
Mate, you're all right, mate. There's onions in the room. I love it.
I have no issues with telling guys I love them, and I do. I love you, man. Like, you're just a good human being. Oh, fuck. Sorry, I'm getting lost here in my own emotions.
Real life, though. Like, I think this is important just for anyone listening who's people get so apologetic when they tear up or get emotional, or when something doesn't go to plan. They're like, "Oh, sorry." I always think to myself, "Why the fuck are you sorry? This is real life. There's no script. It's playing out exactly how it's meant to play out.
It's just a habit."
Yeah, it's just like, just fucking enjoy it for what it is. Like, I'm enjoying this whole process. This is awesome because I don't get to experience this with anyone else.
Yeah, exactly right. Sorry, what were we talking about again there?
Are you happy? Like, you were just going on.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So growing up and just through life and that, like, yeah. So right now, yeah, I am fucking happy. Just like since we connected and we did the workshop, it's just been a huge fucking reflection. Like, just in the mirror, just me there, just fucking, yeah, man. Like, I just, fuck, it's hard to put into words, to be honest. I thought I was going to nail this one, but yeah. So previously, growing up, being a fucking massive social outcast. People find this really hard to believe when I tell them this, but I was bullied all through school, all the way from like the beginning of primary school to the end of high school. Like, my whole 12 years of my education, I was a social outcast. People didn't like me. I don't know why, but I just assumed the role of a victim. I was a lot more introverted and a lot quiet, so I was very easy to pick on. I was an easy target. So yeah, I was very unhappy, man. I changed schools because I was so miserable and I had no friends. It hurt, man. It hurt a lot. And it really sucked. But yeah, I just wish someone had asked me if I was happy more often and checked in with me a bit more, because what's more important in life than being fucking happy and just feeling like you're accepted?
I think at the end of the day, if you were to ask someone why they're doing what they're doing for long enough, like, it comes back to, I want to feel worthy. You know, when you get to the crux of whatever the materialistic shit is, so they want to feel happy, they want to feel worthy, they want to feel connected. So guarantee 9 times out of 10, it's always coming back to that.
Yeah. Fuck, dude, it's crazy. Like, the not being socially accepted thing was the pathway that led me to drugs and alcohol, because the only people that did accept me were the other social outcasts, and they were, you know, they were the more socially unacceptable people, and they smoked cigarettes and smoked weed and that was pretty, it's like in a surfy culture is a pretty prevalent thing. And so yeah, for me it was like I was just good at being a chameleon. I knew how to blend in and be seen enough, but not be at the same time, if you know what that means. So like, you're there, people know you're there, and you might throw a funny comment here and there, but I knew how to just blend in and just go with the flow and be what people needed me to be. So yeah, that's a huge thing that I've only reflected on since we had the workshop. Fucking years ago, mate, when I was a kid. So, but yeah, we don't ask people whether they're happy. It's not a thing. And even if you do, there's just this fucking knee-jerk default reaction. It's like, oh, hey, how are you? Because that's just an Australian greeting. We never really mean it. It's just a, hi, how you going? Yeah, good, thanks. It just, as word vomit, it just falls out of your mouth. And even if someone does pull you up and go, hey, how's everything going with you? You know, you're good? Like, what's happening? Oh, yeah, same old. Oh, yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, good, thanks. But really on the inside, these things are just happening by default, the words, the whole conversation. But no one ever fucking stops to actually have that self-reflection and just stop for a minute and sit before they answer.
Yeah.
And and this is a huge part that you went through with us in the workshop. It's like, just sit and listen and process the fucking question. Doesn't matter what the question is. It's like, what do you want to eat? What do I want to eat? Good question. Then answer. I know that's a very vague fucking simple thing, but
true.
We just, and it's the simplest conversations that like we just breeze over.
Yeah.
So yeah, fucking ask people if they're genuinely happy, but be prepared for the fucking following to happen. Sometimes you're going to get answers that don't fucking sit well with you guys. So just acknowledge it, be there for people, but also celebrate it too, man, because sometimes it's just the fact that you were that one person that stopped and asked that person a question. You could actually save someone's life by doing that.
Yeah. But something that... You go.
I just had to get this out there. And people don't fucking know this. A lot of people don't know this about me. So I'm going to just put this out there in the public realm. I've actually tried to kill myself twice over the years. A lot of people just like, you? No way. Fuck no. You're actually a sad person. Like, yeah, mate. I've been in that black despair where you feel like there's no way out and wanted to fucking die. And it's a fucking painful place, man. So don't think you can fix everyone and heal everyone, but just check in with people and just ask them if they're okay. Ask them if they're happy. And sometimes you might actually get a really good reaction. People just be buzzing off the wall and they'll tell you something awesome that happened to them.
And as someone who, like, I can definitely relate with the wanted to take your life part, like for those, like I've shared this heap on mine as well. And thanks for sharing that. And once again, before I talk about all this sort of shit, like if you do need help, there's, some fantastic lifelines and professional services available. But going back to that, like when you ask those questions to people, you don't just expect the question like you was the response that you're wanting, right? Like we know, right, the statistics show what are the leading causes for male suicide at this point in time. Relationship breakdown, finances, loss of jobs, custody battles, all these things, right? That's a warning sign. But we can't just show up one day and say, like, because a mate's going through something or he seems a bit down, and expect to have his trust or expect to have anyone's trust, right? It's real, and it's something that, like, we need to, and this is why I believe you can only have a handful of good friends, and you should fucking do your best to be the best mate there and show up all the time for that, because it's not possible to be everything to everyone. But if we can all do our part with, say 3 to 5 people who you truly get along with, and but just constantly keep checking in, that when times do get tough, they feel comfortable turning to you. Or if you do ask, they will, be ready to open and be honest with that. But I was at the same point for you, like I was taking that many drugs at one point. This was the start of 2013, where I was trying to take that many drugs, and I knew it was a bad thing, but I was like, I don't give a fuck if I don't wake up. Like potentially this pain's going to go away, or I'm not going to wake up. But I didn't care. Like I wasn't actively going to go take my life another way, but I was like, this might end it all. Sweet. Let's just take another fucking pill or whatever else.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
But I've also seen my brother go through it, right? And what I know from my experience, once again, and from chatting with my brother as well, the biggest things that have changed for both of us is, one, understanding ourselves more, but 2, having those quality fucking relationships where you feel like you belong somewhere.
Yeah.
Because
there's no greater feeling than that, is there? But when you don't have it, holy shit.
And it's hard when people say get over it or just do this or do that. It's like, you're right.
Well, fuck off.
My head's in the mud right now. I can't look anywhere else. Like this is what I'm focused on. And on paper it's simple. Do this to this, but when you're going through a ton of emotions and life's fucking happening, it's not that simple. So, one, seek professional help, get on the lifelines. But if you're in a position where you're in a good state of mental health and well-being, and you've got great friends and family in your life, like continue to develop and fucking love those relationships, because that's what it comes back to at the end of the day. Before we had all this materialistic shit and TVs, Apple TV, iPhones, all that sort of stuff. We actually had to connect. Like I still remember when I was in primary school and I had to use a dial-up phone to find out what my buddies were in. I'd be like, Mum, can I call Stewie and call the landline? You'd actually have to talk to their parents, and you'd be like,
and it'd be like, ring, ring, ring.
To know their parents at the same time, and then you'd be like, Stu, what class are you in this year? Oh, 3A. Fuck, I'm in 3B. Damn it. Next year. You'd get to know their whole family from that. Now we just go Instagram. We don't even get, like, just before school,
we
called a mate.
We skip that.
Yeah, 100%. Just before I got on this call, I called a mate for his birthday, and he's like, no one calls for birthdays anymore. They do a Facebook message and that changed me 4 years ago when a guy that I wasn't even really friends with called me on my birthday, and he's a country lad. He's just like, I just thought I'd give you a buzz, mate, because no one else does. That was the first.
That's like the country people mentality, though. Like, and no disrespect to people that are originally from the city, but growing up in the country, people just have a different connection to their friends, family, and neighbours.
Yeah, well, it might be because we're so busy that like, I know for me, sometimes I'm like, I don't have time for that phone call. What if it goes for 20 minutes and 10? But, a text message means shit to me. Like, if I'll leave text message, and you've probably experienced it, where I won't reply for 1 or 2 days because I have all my notifications off, because if someone really wants me, they'll fucking call me. Like, sweet.
Yeah, and I'm fully aware of, so I have full respect of what you do, and I don't know what your role is with your company. It's like, I don't give a shit if people don't get back to me. If they'll get back to me when they're ready.
Yeah.
But I feel that, like, that phone call is so pivotal. People are like, why are you calling me? Is something wrong? No. So why don't you just text me? I'm like, because maybe I want to hear your fucking voice. I feel like I'm actually connected to you.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I didn't see you down the
street. Sorry.
Hold your hand as well. Mate, last question. What does being a man mean to you? And I ask everyone this because, like we spoke about before, it could be such a broad answer, but I want to know specifically what it means to Ryan.
Oh, specifically just to me? Yeah, we'll skip the whole fucking what society thinks a man should be.
Yep.
Because that's why we're all fucking dying, aren't we?
Yeah.
For me, it's just, I don't want to dismiss being masculine and strong and that. That is definitely a part of being a man, because that's just in our DNA.
Yeah.
But I think being a real man is, being a real man is just having that strength and vulnerability to just be open and honest with who you are, and be open and honest with everyone else that's in your life, be it men and women, friends and family. And having that deep respect for your friends and your family, and also yourself, and just being an integral human being, just being a good fucking human, really. Let's just level at that, because it really just, I think, I know you asked me what it means to be a man, but I just break it down to just being a good fucking human.
Yep.
It's as simple as that, dude. Just don't be a fucking cunt.
I think that's the first time we've had that word on the fucking show. I like it.
Sorry, but just don't be a cunt.
Yeah.
There's just, I mean, we could go through lists and lists, and it's just being if you don't be a cunt, you'll do all the other good things.
Mm-hmm. Spot on.
If you don't be a shit human being, you will turn out to be a good guy, a good human, and everything that falls into line with that is what a man should be.
Yeah.
Loving, caring, supportive, integral, respectful, and don't get it twisted. If you're lacking in these areas, it's okay. Like, you're a human being. You're allowed to not be perfect. Yeah. I know this is a list that I'm spouting off, and that's just my idea in my head. But you might not, on a scale of 1 to 10, you might not be a 10 in all these areas, but don't let that be a negative reflection of you, of any of the guys out there. So
yeah, we all got
areas. Yeah, that's just my point of view anyway. My 2 cents.
Love it. Where can people find you on the gram, on Instagram?
Pretty simple, mate. It's at Ryan Barford. Simple. So I keep it real simple. But yeah, so guys, I don't work in the same sector as Lockie does. I'm a tradesman, but I've always wanted to do what Lockie does. I started the coaching route, just had a bit of a shitty experience with the training institute. I'm not going to drop their name. But keep your eyes peeled. I will be doing work in the future in this sector. If anyone out there needs just someone to chat to, I'm open for chats. If you're looking for a bit of support, fucking hit Lockie up, man. Lockie's a fucking genius. Well, maybe not genius, but you're definitely a fucking. But he just has an innate ability to connect with other human beings. I mean, look, I've been described in the same way from other people. I don't know if I really share the same point of view, but only because I'm my own worst critic. But yeah, if there's other guys out there, if you're resonating with anything I'm saying and you do want to chat to me, by all means, man, just slide into my DMs, slide into Lockie's DMs. There's enough of us out there to just help share and care for each other. 100%. So, but yeah, do as you please. I hope this podcast has helped in some way and
it's been a
shone a little bit of light. Yeah, man. Oh, mate, kudos to you. I'm so stoked you asked me to come on. I was like, oh.
I'm glad you came on because your story is fucking awesome.
just gotta just dust it off a little. No, but it's cool, man. I appreciate it, and it's just nice to be able to like share and have an open, vulnerable conversation with you because it's, well, for you and I, it's just, it comes natural. But by all means, if anyone doesn't isn't able to flex that muscle yet, fucking start. Just start having conversations, guys. This is what's going to stop us all from fucking dying. 100%. And it really, really hurts me to see the statistics and to know that there's other guys out there suffering that deep, deep pain. And even if it's just the little things, man, they compound and they build up. So reach out, guys. If it's not to either of me and Lockie, to your friends, your family, and even if you're doing really good, fucking awesome, man. Take a fucking bow, champion yourself on, boys, and just fucking, because sometimes you're not going to get that pat on the back from everyone else. Pat yourself on the fucking back if you're doing the hard work. And stand up and literally stand up in the room you're in and take a fucking bow, because whoever's out there and you're doing the hard work, even if you're not doing it and you're just inquisitive and you're genuinely interested and you're listening to this podcast, take a fucking bow, man, because you're doing more than most other human beings.
100%. All right, brother.
That's me, mate.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. You're a champion, trooper. I fucking love you, man.
I love you too, bro. When are we linking up next? You coming to Melbourne?
I'm coming to Melbourne soon. I still got to confirm the dates, but it'll be within the next, what date are we now? I got two weekends more left in Sydney, this weekend and next weekend.
Yep.
And then I think it's Easter.
Posted.
And then, but yeah, I'll be down by the end of April.
Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lockie Stewart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.